specific behavioral daily pattern changes that can get you to avoid having to go on medication if you have been diagnosed with prediabetes in your 50s.
Hi, welcome to the Judy Terrell Show, where I explore topics intended to optimize everybody 50, 60, 70, and above.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to your second 50 years on the planet. Thank you for joining me. And if you are joining me, then you are in a fourth episode in my series of 6 episodes on my guidebook for how to get out of the pre-diabetes category in your blood sugar and A1C levels when you are over 50 as a male and a female. All right. So this is episode number 4. I've already covered what are starchy carbohydrates and what are ones to eat and what are ones to avoid if you're in the pre-diabetic category. That was episode number 1. Episode number 2 was I gave you a formula for looking at labels for foods that have labels and what is the added sugar grams that you should be looking for. So that was episode number 2. Episode number 3, I talked about combining foods in meals and snacks so that you're not having just the carb, because the combination can help to buffer the blood sugar release and A1C over time. So food combinations. And now episode number 4, I'm going to talk about portions and meal timing in relation to trying to get out of pre-diabetes. All right. So let's talk about portions. All right. So, we are being schooled from our doctors and online that, there are particular types of foods that tend to release very rapidly sugar into your blood and, being given protocols, as I did in my first 3 episodes, on how to make choices about that. But what I want to address here is you can be eating the right on-plan carbohydrates to lower your A1C and control for diabetes, but the amount of the food that you're having is also a factor in the equation, hence the topic for this episode number 4. And I've mentioned in my prior episodes in this series that this is in a hierarchical order. So number 4 isn't as important as number 1, but if you want to really control your pre-diabetes and get out of that category, all 6 of them need to be, addressed. So this is an important one as well. And so portions. All right. So for my clients who are over 50, who are now more insulin resistant than when we were younger, because that's just part of the aging process. And for women who just went through perimenopause and then now in postmenopause, the loss of estrogen also makes us more insulin resistant, but men don't get away with it either, even though they don't have that big, kind of like abrupt change. It is changing for them. Their insulin resistance is going up, and by the age of 60, it is then definitely at a higher level than when you were younger. And by the way, insulin resistance is not good. Insulin is the hormone that helps to pull the sugar out of the blood and then bring it into cells or help it to be transported into body fat. But it is instrumental in getting the blood sugar, the glucose out of the blood, which is very important because if the blood sugar stays high, that's diabetes, obviously. But why is that bad? Is because then it starts to do damage to everything it touches. Too high of a sugar level corrupts cellular integrity and leads to degeneration and death of cells. And so neuropathies, and that's the nerve cells, diabetic amputations because of skin and the soft tissue is being corrupted, and then organ damage. These are all secondary results from diabetes or too high of a blood sugar. So we want to avoid, we want to control for that, obviously. And insulin is one of our hormones that does help us to control that. But if you're over 50 and you're definitely past menopause for females, then you are more resistant to that hormone doing its job. The cells are less, kind of there. It's almost like as our hearing is not as good as we get older in some of our cases, our listening in our cells for that insulin becomes more, it's like hard of hearing, right? So the same amount of insulin is not doing the job because it's not able to to link onto the cells and then open that up for the glucose to get into them so the glucose stays high in your blood. All right. So that's insulin resistance. That is pre-diabetes. So, and as you're older, we just have that at a higher level than when we did when you're younger. So with that in mind, as you're over 50, it's even more important for us than if you're under 50 and been diagnosed with pre-diabetes. All right. So back to portions. So now, if we're insulin resistant and pre-diabetic, then hi, everybody. I wanted to interrupt this podcast because I want to give you something. Your Second 50.life is my virtual platform that is designed for both men and women over 50 and 60, 70, and 80. And it includes pre-recorded video information on exercise and how to do it, whether you're fit and in good health, or if you have bad knees, bad shoulders, a bad back, whatever. It includes information on how to eat for weight management and how to eat for health management. It includes information on the psychology of aging and what do we need to do in our heads, because let's face it, this aging thing is not for the faint of heart. So your Second 50.life is a virtual platform of resources that you can access at your own leisure, but it also includes 2 times a month live video coaching with me so that you can bring your own individual questions and get individual coaching, as well as have access to all the information on the pre-recorded videos. So please check it out, because we're all in this together and we got this if we work as a team. All right, everybody, back to the show. Thanks. Not only do we have to be careful about what are the choices of the carbs that we're taking in to minimize the added sugar carb type foods that we would be eating, we also want to be conscious of eating smaller portions. And that perhaps may result in eating maybe another meal. So as opposed to 3 meals and one snack, you might be having, 3 smaller meals and 2 snacks, because it's important to not eat too much at once, because then that volume gets digested and then goes into the bloodstream and heightens that blood sugar level at a higher amount if you had 6 ounces of something than if you had 3 ounces of something. Okay. So the portion of what you're eating in a meal and a snack is also going to be instrumental in your guidebook for how to control and get out of the pre-diabetic category. Smaller portions means less of food to be digested and less of the breaking down parts of those foods to get into the bloodstream at any one given time. So I'm not necessarily saying that you have to eat less overall in the day. What I'm suggesting to you, if you're in the pre-diabetic category and over 50, is that you want to think about your meal timing, and you may have to address that differently so that you're eating possibly the same amount of food, but in more frequent feedings, so that you're not getting a big hit of glucose or amino acids or, fatty acids and glycerol at any one time. All right. Now, many people who are pre-diabetic are also over fat. So it may also mean smaller portions in general and not adding another meal. And that would help you from getting yourself out of the pre-diabetic category in 2 ways. You'd be controlling for the blood sugar increase at any one time, and as well as, the portions then, so that you're actually reducing body fat overall because you're creating a deficit of calories for the day. And weight loss also helps to minimize insulin resistance and, a higher sugar level of A1C. So there's 2 results that are beneficial to get you out of the pre-diabetic category: weight loss and smaller, more frequent meals for the control of the blood glucose entering into the system. All right. So somebody might be having 1,500 calories a day and they're having 3 meals, let's just say. So that would be 500 calories a meal. So to give a concrete example of what I'm saying here, maybe you're going to do 4 meals, and instead of 500 calories per meal, it might be 400 calories a meal. Maybe you have 3 meals, but you make them smaller, and you spread them out a little bit more, and then you add in a snack between two of them. Or maybe you just take 4 meals and subdivide them all evenly. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but what I'm telling you is that if I'm saying 1,500 calories, if that is our example here for how much calories to take in for the day, and you've been eating those in 2 meals, let's just say, so that would be like 750 calories each, you would do better to break that into 4 meals of about 400 calories each, or 375, because that will better control your blood sugar levels post-meal and your A1C overall, because you're not having too big of a surge at any one time. It's kind of, you're still having the same amount of energy and calories going in and food, but the meal timing is helping you to reduce the portion. All right. So more frequent meals at smaller portions is a better choice for pre-diabetic than 1 or 2 bigger meals with more food in those meals, even if it's the same amount of calories by the end of the day. All right, everybody. So this is episode number 4 in my 6-part series on specific behavioral daily pattern changes that can get you to avoid having to go on medication if you have been diagnosed with prediabetes in your 50s. All right. So now if you've gained some knowledge from this, then please hit like, subscribe. There's 2 more episodes in this series. If you find that you're learning some things from my videos, please check out my Your Second 50 it's a subscription platform with a literal library of information, not just for prediabetes, but for all things having to do with aging optimally, health issues and concerns, and how to change behavioral patterns in your everyday life to, control and minimize them, weight management, and, just aesthetics, skin, hair, nails, belly fat, all sorts of things. So please check that out. And I hope to see you soon in my next video in this series. You can finish out this series. And till I see you again, make every day count, make every minute count. Your second 50 can be even better than your first 50. And we got this aging thing. We got it. We got it.
And if you'd like to have access to some of my additional resources, I can be found at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on my website, www.judyterrell.com.